Okay, so my goal is to make it so after you watch this video, you will never procrastinate ever again. In this video, I want to talk about the actual way to make yourself never procrastinate in basically anything. Let's go to the whiteboard. So I'm happy to say I finally upgraded to the whiteboard style of videos, so let me know if you like this in the comment section below. But so I talk to a lot of people, both at school, I talk to them online, I talk to them in these different communities that I'm part of, like in school and Discord, and like I often ask them, what's one of the biggest problems that you're facing right now? These are like students, or some of them are even just regular people who are just work jobs or something like that. And the big thing they almost always say is something along the lines of procrastination. They may describe it in different ways. They may say it's like, I just have no motivation, or just nothing I seem to do works to get me to stop scrolling. They may describe it different ways, but it just comes down to procrastination at the end of the day. And I just think to myself, how big of a problem is procrastination in society? Like, imagine if nobody ever procrastinated. Like, just imagine that for a second. Imagine if every time you thought to do something, you just did it. Like, we would have so much more money right now. I mean, maybe we'd even have more like love. I don't really know how that would really work, but I mean, somehow along the lines, I feel like that could lead to like more love. Maybe we'd have just more happiness overall. I'm not sure. Draw a smiley face there. Like, I mean, everything would just go so much more smoothly because there would not be like this gap between when you think of something and when you actually do it. Like, society would we'd be basically in like a utopia if we were to do this. I know that sounds kind of wild, but I mean, really, if you think about it, if nobody procrastinated, everything would be so much better, especially with how many people say like the biggest problem is that they procrastinate. You'll find a lot of videos where they say like, okay guys, here's like the one tip that make it so you will never procrastinate ever again. And it may actually be a pretty good tip. I actually have a lot of videos on this channel that like lists one tip that make it so you will never procrastinate again. So it's not like this is something that I'm not guilty of, but I want to go a little bit deeper than that. I want to talk about your mind for a second. Now, I know this is like really bad drawing, like one of the worst you've ever seen probably in your entire life, but this is supposed to be a brain here. So I want to talk about like, what is it in your mind that gets you to procrastinate all the time? And I think it's several things. We could go like into a psychoanalytic type, thing here and talk about, you view yourself as like a failure, and like, maybe you want to prove to yourself that you're, successful. So you don't want to do something that could make yourself seem like a failure. Maybe I'll talk about that again in a future video, but I just want to focus on like a simple thing that's easy for anyone to understand. So let's use an example. A few days ago, I was studying for some exams in school. These are final exams in college. And I remember studying for them, and I just was honestly kind of amazed because I was enjoying studying for it. I know that that's, not really surprised considering the videos I make on this channel, but I was like literally doing it. I just thought, this is literally more fun than a video game. That literally was the thought that came into my mind. Like, not even on purpose. I just thought, I'm literally enjoying this as if this were a video game that I was playing right now. Studying. Like, this was literally studying for a test. And even taking the test the next day, I literally enjoyed taking the test basically as much as playing a video game. I know that sounds like unbelievable, but it was literally true. I thought to myself, what was it about how I studied that made it so enjoyable, both to study and to take the test as well? It kind of goes back to this mindset thing. Like, what was it in my mind? What kind of thoughts did I have that led to this kind of belief? So if you think about it, a lot of people have these kind of like negative mindsets in terms of studying. It's just like, I hate studying. Math is boring. I'm bad at studying. The subject I was actually studying was physics. So, I mean, that's very math related. It's basically a math subject. If you take physics, you know what I mean. So I was literally making math fun is how I want to describe it. But most people view these things and they have these mindsets in their mind. And maybe they're not saying it. Maybe they're not like outright saying I hate studying, but they kind of believe it in their mind, like subconsciously. I'm sure you probably do. If you're watching this video, if you are a student, you kind of have this mindset, even if you don't say it, that studying is not really that much fun. If I were to ask you how much fun do you have while studying, you probably like maybe give it like a 2 or 3 out of 10 because it's not fun at all. And you just believe that. And it's like, it just reinforced in your mind again and again. Every time you sit down to study, you just kind of subconsciously think this is boring. Even if you don't say it, again, it's just in your mind. So the obvious thing is like, what if we could change this and just say, I love studying. Math is fun. I'm good at studying. What if we just like said this every single time we sat down to study? And so like, this sounds like kind of like some utopia idea, like the SpongeBob imagination thing, like something that, some quick fix in, making yourself just so happy all of a sudden, like as if your mind could just change everything and make everything so much better. But like, back to the example I gave, this literally worked for me. Like, this literally made me go from someone who hated this subject to someone who enjoyed it. So clearly it does work. It's not just some fake idea that I came up with in my mind. I mean, maybe I did come up with it in my mind at first, but I have proven it through these times of testing it and this experimentation. So like, here's how I really look at this kind of stuff. So you have all these conscious thoughts. These are the thoughts that you're, consciously saying in your mind right now. Maybe you're thinking this video is the worst thing I've ever seen, or maybe you're thinking it's the best thing I've ever seen. And you have these thoughts day in and day out, and you're always basically having some kind of conscious thought. Now, if you have a thought enough times, though, it basically becomes a subconscious thought. Like, if you have a conscious thought many times, or even just several times over the course of a day, or even less than a day, maybe if you just have it over the course of an hour, it will basically become a subconscious thought. So, like, for example, if you tell yourself at the beginning of each day, I'm a loser, and that's just the conscious thought that you tell yourself, eventually you're going to just have the subconscious belief that you're a loser. Like, it's just going to be part of you. You're going to have being a loser as part of your identity. Meanwhile, I guess on the opposite, you could just say you're a winner every single day. And then subconsciously, you will believe yourself to be a winner eventually. It's not going to happen immediately again, but if you do it again and again, eventually you're going to start believing this. I mean, it's basically like a habit. You can basically turn your thoughts into habits. If you just have the same thought again and again, it's going to become ingrained in you, and it's just become a habit to think in that kind of way. Yeah, so my question to you is really, if you said these things every single time you began studying and just made it kind of like a habit to do that. So just every time you open your book to study, you think, I love studying, or you think math is fun, or you're good at studying. I mean, would you become this kind of SpongeBob type character who just believes it's enjoyable? I think you would, because it literally did happen for me. And so you're probably thinking, does any of this actually work in any significant way? And I didn't just use that for studying. I'm also using that for making this video right now. I told myself over the past few days, I was so involved in studying, and I just thought, I'm really excited to get back to making YouTube videos and back to working on this business and back to working on Gamify. I just kept thinking that to myself again and again, and I just thought, I'm so excited for the day when I can finally just grind on this all day long again. And now we finally have reached that day, because all my exams are over, and I'm literally just enjoying this so much. I'm enjoying making this video right now, definitely as much as playing a video game, just because I've kind of trained my mind to believe that. I've trained my mind to believe that this is as fun as playing a video game. If any of this interests you, check the link in the description below, where I actually have this whole free program on how to gamify literally anything, whether it's studying, whether it's homework, whether it's work you have to do, whether it's starting a business, to beat procrastination and gamify any of it. It's completely free right now if you sign up. And yeah, it's a very good thing, and we'll go into these kinds of techniques and much more in that program. This has been Jimmy, signing off.